We are doing the 1040 for Sally and John, and they are married. They have one kid. And the things that are extra that are not on their W-2s is they received a 1099 with taxable interest of $330. So starting off, they are going to be filing jointly. And typically the male is listed first. I do not know why or if that has to be the case. It just been tradition, is one of those things that has kind of built out a tradition. So John Q. Public is the male, and his social is 123-456-789. And he is married to Sally. J. Public. And her social security number is 321-54-9876. Their home address is 1103 Avenue G. And from Anytown, Texas. And their zip code is 76933. They are not contributing to the presidential election campaign, and they did not use virtual currency any time in the year. No one can claim them or their spouse as a dependent. They were not born before January 2nd, 1956, and they are not blind. Their daughter's name is Jane Public. And I'm going to go over a couple of things while I'm talking about this. This is part of the reason I'm doing this section is so that we can actually go through this discussion. The social security number is 987-65-4321. So, your dependents, this is where you can get yourself into some trouble if you do not do it completely by the books. This is someone that is a child that you are raising for more than 50% of the year. So, let's say your family is divorced and you have custody of your kid for over 50% of the year. You more than likely are going to be able to claim them, but it could be it starts getting touchy whenever you're divorced and you have a very joint custody. That's sometimes taken care of in the divorce decree, and it will discuss who gets to claim the person on taxes. The other things that may qualify a child to be on your taxes, that even if they are not your biological child, if you're fostering a child or raising a kid through foster care and they have been with you for more than half the year, then they can qualify as a dependent of yours. Same thing as sometimes, for some reason, you may end up raising your brother or sister. They could end up being as your dependents, depending on if you raise them and you are the provider of their support, or your grandkids, or your niece or nephew. There have been other people I've heard of talking in here where the grandmother had guardianship over them, but they end up living with the dad for more than 50% of the year, and so the dad had to claim them on the taxes, and the grandmother would get in trouble as she did. So there are a whole lot of issues that can come up in here, but make sure that if you are claiming a kid as a dependent on you and saying that they qualify for the tax credit, that they are with you for more than 50% of the year, or it is through the divorce decree where if it's split custody, that you have that arranged. Because what can happen is this can cause you a lot of backlash if you do not. I am personally going through a situation where one of either my adopted son or my foster daughter was claimed on their parents' taxes. And all I have to do is send them the proof that they are with me. and it could come back with negative repercussions on whoever, because it's tax fraud to whoever else has been claiming them. And so just be careful with that. The government does not like tax fraud, and they come after that pretty severely. That's how they got Al Capone, was through his taxes. When they can't get you any other way, they try to get you through your taxes. So if you're good at covering everything else up, they may find it through the taxes. The IRS is really good at finding things. And once you get on their radar, you don't want to be on their radar.
So let me get this straight. Our best way of capturing mob bosses or crime bosses or any kind of horrible person is through the department in charge of taxes.
This is from some accountants. I went to accounting training a couple of years ago. When the FBI raid a house, and this is just from, haven't talked to someone, an FBI agent. He said, besides the person breaking the door, the next person through is an IT person to gather up all technology that's important that they need to have saved, and the other person is an accountant. Because more than likely, those two things are going to get the evidence they need. Because everybody else is afraid to talk. All the other witnesses, it won't come forward, but documentation in this is where things come to light. Does that answer your question? And I'm not saying that they don't get them other ways too, but that gets them where they're held to where they can get more evidence. But I do remember Al Capone, that was the reason he got arrested and put in jail, was I think it was tax fraud or some other, it was through finances. But yeah, if you want to be the first one through the door for FBI, either be IT or into accounting. So that's something you're interested in. It's something that you can actually pursue and find really cool stuff in. It's not just someone behind the books hiding. So since this is a joint return, we need to add in both incomes. So we need to have both Sally's and John's. So when we add Sally and John, what is the total when we add those two numbers together? Anybody done the math yet? Do it real quick.
$52,000.
Yes. Now, the other thing that was different on this one is I said that they had taxable interest of $330. Where does that get recorded?
Not sure.
See if you can read and find out. Taxable interest, where is that going to get recorded? It's going to get recorded in the next several lines.
Oh, that's B.
2B. 2B is taxable interest. Tax exempt interest is 2A. And so that was $330. That's going to come in at $10.99. Everything else from this, because we have not told you otherwise, all the way through all the B's here are all zero. We did not have a capital gain or loss this year, and we do not have any other income to report from our Schedule 1. So when we add all that together, those two numbers, we come up with $53,320. Now we're looking at adjustments to income. So that means lowering how much they consider your income being before you start doing taxes. And from Schedule 1, line 22, we have a nothing. Tomorrow we're actually going to go through Schedule 1 and do some stuff on Schedule 1. Charitable contributions, we have nothing. Add lines 10A and B, and that's your total adjustments to income. And that's a big fat 0. And then subtract 10C from line 9. So 53,320. The standardized deduction is for a joint married filing jointly is 24,800. We're going to add lines 12 and 13, and that gives us 24,800. And again, if you had trouble remembering those numbers, they are over in that little bubble next to 12. And we did not have any qualifying business income or income deductions. Your taxable income is we subtract line 14 from line 11. And so when we subtract those two numbers, how much did we make?
48,180.
Yes. So 28,520, right?
Oh.
Okay. So far, nothing really has changed besides our deduction amount and the fact that we had taxable interest income. Now we're going to go over to the next page, and we need to go ahead and pull up the chart and use a new one because I didn't give y'all far enough on the other one. And you're going to look for that 28,520. So 28,520 is between 28,500 and 28,550. So up to now, we have been using column 3 to find our taxes. This time we're going to use column 4 because that's the married filing jointly column. And so their taxes is $3,028. And we are not using the schedule, they did not have anything on schedule 2. We're going to add those two, and that gives us $3,028. Now, line 19, and I hope I still have it saved on that line. No, I don't. So I'm going to go back to line 19. Okay. Child tax credit for credit and credit for other dependents. It works you through on a worksheet format in your workbook that comes along with filing your 1040. How you do this. So I printed out this page for you. So find the one that says at the top 2020 child tax credit and credit for other dependents, worksheet line 19. So to be a qualifying child for a child tax credit must be your dependent under the age of 17 and ending in the year of 2020. They must meet all conditions for steps 1 through 3 on who qualifies for a dependent. And you can see that up above, but basically it's do they live with you? Do they have a social security number? And so forth. And the dependent section to be qualifying as a qualifying child. If you don't have a qualifying child, you can't claim the child tax credit. To see if your qualifying relatives qualify as a dependent, you can check that out. Be sure you have a social security number to see who qualifies as your dependent. If you are claiming the adoption tax credit or some of the other things, you may have to use other forms. So if the number of children in a home under the age of 17, so we said that Jane is under the age of 17 and we have our social security number, so what number are we going to put in this blank here? How many children do they have? 1. 1 times 2,000 gives us the number that we're going to fill in spot 1. I can't write on this one, so I'm just going to have to point and you'll have to follow along. So we're going to put 2,000. We don't have any other dependents, so we're going to put a 0 on 2. Line 3 says add lines 1 and 2. So where are we going to have on line 3? How much?
2,000.
2,000. Then we have to go back to line 11. And on line 11, that's where we wrote that 53,320. And so that's what's coming back over here in line 4 on this worksheet. So 53,320. So what's our marrying status? Or what is our filing status? Married filing jointly or other things? What do we click on at the top? Under filing status up here. Married filing jointly. So that means that we get to write 400,000 on line 5. Is the amount on line 4 more than the amount on line 5? No. 53,000 is nowhere near 400,000. This is to reduce the tax benefit for those that have high income. This is to offset the lower incomes with the child tax credit. Because the impact of having a kid is a lot greater whenever you have you make 100,000 versus whenever you make 100 million. The amount line 4, is it more than the amount in line 5? Or we already answered that, and we said no. So we leave 6 blank and enter a 0 on line 7. Is the amount on line 3 more than the amount on line 7? Yes. Subtract 3 minus 7. So you get 2,000 on line 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to go back over to our 1040 and look at line 18. And this side we're looking at the amount of taxes we owe. So the first side was looking at our income. The second side is looking at our taxes. And so we owe $3,028. So line 9 is 3,028. And we did not use any of those schedules or those forms. And so the total on 10 is 0. Are the amounts on 9 and 10 the same?
No.
You then subtract line 10 from line 9. So we're still at 2,000, or at 3,028, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is the amount on line 8 more than the amount on line 11?
No.
Enter the amount on line 8. And that is your tax credit for them. And if you you may be able to take an additional tax credit on line 28 if you answered yes on line 11 or 12. So there is more things to fill out at that point, and I'm not going to go through it because it doesn't pertain to this particular person, but you'll use that schedule 8812 to find that out. And again, all the instructions are all in that instruction packet for 1040s, which you used to be able to pick up at every library and every post office. I don't know if you still can pick up a paper copy there, but you can find it easily online. Just make sure you're using the current year. And so our child tax credit is what?
2,000.
So 2,000 is written on line 19. The amount from Schedule 3, line 7. This person did not end up qualifying for any of the schedules, so no zero there. Add line 19 and 20. We get that big, scary addition of 2,000. Subtract line 21 from line 18. And we get $1,028. And then you will do any of your self-employment taxes. And this person has 0. Add lines 28 or 22 and 23 together. That's your total taxes. So this person only owes $1,028. And so you remember on that W-4 form that we were filling out earlier, that 2,000 number that they were giving us to multiply with? This is where it's coming into play.
So the more children, the less you have to pay.
Yes. Now, the addition, this is, at a certain point, you're going to offset all your taxes, and it can't keep going negative. The additional child tax credit is a smaller amount, but it can come into play. So let's take and find out how much do we owe, or how much, not do we owe, how much have we sent in on our W-2s. Our W-2s show how much we sent to the government. So John sent $1,516.95, and Sally sent $432.35. So if we add those two together, how much do they send the government? Yeah, your calculator if you don't want to do it in your head.
Oh, we're doing that.
Add those two numbers together.
Is the 1,000 number?
The 1,516.95 and the 432.35.
Okay. $1,949.3.
And we did not have any federal income tax withheld through our 1099 or through any other forms. So when we add together to get our, next one is, do we send any extra estimated payments in 2020? We did not send any extra estimated payments. As oftentimes you'll do that whenever you're self-employed or have a self-employed income. And then if you applied any money from last year's tax return, in this case we had 0. The estimated tax payments that have applied to your 2019, that we've sent in was 0. I'm sorry, I've lost track of where I was at. Because 25D was totaling it, and then that was the 0. Like I said, I am not going to go through that earned income credit. It's when you get into the definitely in the lower income, and I would recommend going through somebody as you're going through that. And this is where that, remember that line that said to go to your 8812, schedule 8812 to help you fill in the additional child tax credit? That's where it comes into play. American Opportunity Credit deals with college, and we do not have any. The recovery rebate is dealing with what happened this last year with 2020's or with the stimulus package. Schedule 3, line 13, we did not have that schedule. And so, these are additional things that are considered payments to the IRS. Oh, line 25D is not 0, is it? What is it? I'm adding lines 25A through 25C. What should it be on 25D?
1,929.
Sorry, I just completely got off on lines there.
We almost committed tax fraud.
No, we just almost would have had to send the government some money.
Oh.
I don't know if they go after you for sending them extra money. It's the hiding the money that gets you in trouble. Add lines 27 through 31. Those are considered extra payments. And then add lines 25D, 26, and 32. And that's what you have, in their eyes, sent the government. If line 33 is more than line 24, so is line 33 more than 24? That means you get a refund. What is the difference between those two? How much money are they going to be sending us? Yeah, your calculator and calculate it. Oops. 921.30.
Yes, ma'am.
So, do you want all of that refunded to you? Remember that you can apply it to the next year's taxes as well.
Or you can just keep it.
Or you can just let the government keep it if you want. I'm sure they would take it out. I don't know how you go about doing that. I don't know if you just leave it there, if you, because I've never looked into that form 8888 to see what it does, because I really haven't messed with that.
Oh, we'll find out.
I'll look it up here in a minute for y'all. You tap in your routing, checking, and that may deal with, sometimes I think there's a way, let's see if I can find it. Is there a way to search on this? What line number is that? American
35A.
Opportunity. 35A?
Yeah.
You can have it refunded to direct deposit to more than one account. And so that may be where that comes into play. So if you want to go into more than one places, that may be how some of the, I know that some places say that you don't have to pay up front to get your taxes done. That may be how they get paid for it. If you get a refund, they take it off of there. I don't know if that's how they do it or not. I've not dealt with that myself. I've just always paid for it. So the routing number is from your bank account and the account number there. And you'd put checking if you want it direct deposited. If you don't want it direct deposited, they can still send you a check. And then if you want to apply to your taxes, you can. And then at the bottom, we do not want a third-party designee. You sign. Now here, we have a joint return. Who do you think goes in the first one?
The dude.
Since he was listed first at the top, he gets listed first here. What job do you want to give him?
He's a pencil pusher, an accountant.
He's a very low paid accountant. What's she do?
Doctor.
They need to get a new place to work. And his email, oops, no. John, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, John.
John Public at gmail.com. And someone asked what happens if you don't have those. I don't know.
Only one way to find out.
I guess we can look it up and find out.
No, we can do it.
And they even show you, if you're having trouble trying to figure out how to find your routing information, it shows you right here.
That's crazy.
Because there's people that don't know how to find that information. Oh, you have an option of entering your phone number and email address. You don't have to.
Oh, it's option.
There will be no effect to processing your return if you choose not to enter this information. Since we were at that section, I thought we'd look it up and see. Any questions?